Another year goes by, another time to make my annual best songs of the year list. This time for 2023, and 2023 was the absolute most miserable, rancid, most god-awful year in music. Holy fuck, was it the absolute worst? It was fine. No, seriously, it was okay. I mean, we definitely had worse years in music before, but I don't know, to me, 2023 just kind of felt like an empty year. Nothing much big really happened, and honestly I still feel like we're in a point where the decade hasn't really kicked off yet. Also, just like 2022, the less I say about the mainstream the better. But okay, I don't want to get too negative, this year wasn't devoid of good stuff. Hell, I even managed to release my debut album in 2023, which, you should probably check it out if you haven't already. But yeah, thankfully I was still able to organize a list with songs that I felt fully confident on calling them great. There's even going to be more surprises here than usual, so hey, how about we dive in? This is the top 20 best songs from 2023. Number 20. So country is not really one of my favorite genres in music. In fact, a lot of the mainstream country music of recent years has been kind of proving my point because goddamn, some of these are just awful. But what about indie rock music with a country approach? I mean, I haven't heard much of that, but G's kinda goes hard, not gonna lie. Cowboy News is a laid-back song that I honestly find to be pretty fun. It's very quirky and playful, just like the rest of the album, but it never really feels like it's being obnoxious at any point about it. It carries a very carefree attitude in a chill tone that I do really like, especially when it comes to some of these lines. Honey, kick off your pants, we're living in the future. And I think the chorus is just generally very infectious. This is only at number 20 because out of all of the songs in this list, this is the one that I will probably come back to the list. Like, it doesn't have as much replay value. But listening to it, and yeah, the album in general, has always been just a good time. Just kind of how the cool kids will say it, it's just good vibes. Number 19. Not gonna lie, hyperpop has been a genre that has been shrunken on me a lot this year. I feel like it's a genre that's just generally too goofy and hard to take seriously most of the time. And even when it comes to some of the better acts, like Jane Remover for example, the hyperpop sound has been, funnily enough, the worst part about them. But I will say this, I actually do really like 100 Gecs. Ever since their debut album, they've been very influential, but also kind of divisive at the same time. A lot of people love 100 Gecs, a lot of people don't, but I always thought they were a very fun act that does hyperpop in a particularly engaging way. I feel like they know who they are, then what their genre is, and they embrace that genre to the most chaotic and playful ways you could imagine. And this song is definitely not an exception. I mean, the song literally starts with the THX theme, and it quickly switches into a series of bombastic riffs and synths. It's a ball of energy that's short but frantic enough to be really entertaining. Also not really relevant to the song itself, but the music video is probably one of my favorites of the year. No, seriously, I probably watched it more times than I would like to admit. But yeah, I really like the song. Number 18. Contrary to hyperpop, if there's one genre out there that has been growing to be one of my favorite genres this year, it's dream pop. And I mean, yeah, I've always liked this genre, but throughout 2023, I've been connecting myself with a lot of dream pop music out there. Yo La Tengo, Jul Cruz, I've been listening to a lot of Tsubaki a lot this year, and one of my favorite albums from this year has been Soft Scars. This is my first Jul album, so I don't really have much background of her music, but I do really like this album, especially this song. Sulky Baby is a wonderful song. It has a very ethereal and melancholic instrumentation that feels very soft and gentle. It has great vocals, the sound palette of the song has a lot of personality, and I love the distortion that surrounds the melodies. They definitely are able to make the song feel overwhelming, despite how dreamy it is. Yeah, honestly, maybe I should check out more from you. Number 17. yes, Squid. So, truth be told, this was one of my most anticipated albums of 2023, considering just how much I love Bright Greenfield. Sure, it was a little inconsistent, but there was still a lot to love about it, and the highs of that album really were high highs. The best songs from this album aren't quite as good in my opinion, but I think they really were able to deliver a worthy follow-up to their debut. And I will even say that it's a bit more consistent than their debut, even if I still probably like their debut more. I mean, the moment that I heard the album's opener, I knew I was in for a great album. Swing is actually one of the less frantic songs that they've ever made. It's not all to focus on the vocals or generally on being frantic, but it more so focuses on the band's very layered and rich melodies and production. The way the song builds up throughout, especially with the jazzy elements on the second half, is certainly very satisfying, and it just comes down together really well. Squid is very good at being adventurous, and this song is definitely not an exception. Number 16. So let me reiterate, 2023 for the mainstream sucked. Wasn't much better than the already awful 2022, and it just generally felt very uneventful. But we've been getting a few diamonds in the rough, like Olivia Rodrigo, who honestly is probably my favorite pop artist at the moment. She can be fun, but she can also be emotionally potent, and her music has been a breath of fresh air that manages to carry a lot of genuine thought to it. Heck, I would even say that she can be unconventional.
Yes, I know that he's my ex, but can't do me what we connect.
Bad idea, right? This song is a great pop song. I wasn't that much of a fan of it when I first heard it. I thought it was kind of annoying, but it quickly grew on me in re-listens. This song is a lot of fun. So let's start with what I meant by unconventional. Breakup songs are nothing new in pop music. You've seen them being done before countless of times. Heck, even Olivia Rodrigo has done plenty of breakup songs. But what sticks about this one in particular is the unique spin that she puts into it. Oh no, I broke up with my ex, but a part of me still wants to be with him. Will it be a bad idea to see him tonight? The concept is not only done in a really silly manner, but the song builds around it in a very unique way, structure-wise. Verses that almost feel like rapping, plenty of sarcastic lines, sudden jingly melodies, but my favorite part of the song has got to be the pre-chorus.
Seeing you tonight, it's a bad idea, right?
I especially love the little line that it ends on.
Fuck it, it's fine.
Even the chorus, while probably my least favorite part of the song, is still pretty fun and never feels like it's deviating from the rest. Bad idea, right? It's just a really catchy and imaginative song.
The biggest lie I ever said.
Number 15. Oh hey, it's the album where I tried but failed miserably to do a podcast on. Anyways, now that I can finally talk about the album in a proper way, well, let's talk about it. Ugly is a really good album, and I guess the album that broke my expectation of me doubting UK hip-hop as a genre. Yes, it's because my little brain before was like, the British rapping? What? But going back to the album, let's talk about what's still my favorite song from it, Selfish. First of all, the production of the song is perfect. It's immaculate, it's perfectly balanced, the harsh synths give the kind of texture the song needs, and it really makes the already great groove further stick out. It's not just great production, but it's a style of production that I haven't really seen done much before. It's sick. And outside of the production and the groove, I just generally love how aggressive and anxious the song is generally, and just how much it builds as well. Like the song starts in a way where you feel something bad is going to happen, and the anger and general insanity of the song just keeps elevating, adding layers to it as it goes. It's just a great song. Number 14. Well, Sufjan Stevens is back.
No more fighting, no more talking shit.
So while Sufjan Stevens is not one of those artists that I tend to come back to that often personally, I cannot deny his craft at making songs that are able to speak to my soul. Shit Talk is a pretty gorgeous song. It is just able to deliver on everything well. His vocals are intimate and soulful, the lyrics feel passionate and honest, and the instrumentation is just brimming with life. It's not just a very pleasant song, but it really does possess a sense of magic that feels very much of what I tend to like from Sufjan Stevens. This is a beautiful song, and the album is beautiful as well. Check it out if you haven't already. Number 13.
Allegedly, I did some things. I am so sorry.
You know, I was originally going to interview Bladen and Nathan King for this segment. They are the artists that made the song. But because I wasn't able to get them here, I'm just gonna play you this.
Wish that I could hold that golden strobe that's in the sky, molding what's inside and on my own entire life, following the road that's flowing through my growing mind, finding what's inside the blinding light that I will show in time.
Wonderful summer light.
Okay, that's enough.
I'm so sorry, little Dicky, I'm a big fan. I'm sorry that
Number 12. So just like the Squid album from this year, The Big Hour was one of my most anticipated albums from 2023. Swans have been making music for such a long time now, but they've been proving that even after a long hiatus, they can still make not just good albums, but some of the best and most remarkable albums out there. Especially when it comes to The Seer, To Be Kind and The Glowing Man, which are honestly some of my favorite albums from the 2010s. And while The Big Hour wasn't quite as good, it still felt like a worthy album in the band's discography for me. It retains a lot of the elements that I already love from the band, but it's also generally slower and more meditative. It's an album that heavily talks about death and the inevitable reality that comes with it. And there's no song that represents the quality of the record more than the title track. The title track of the album is not only very suspenseful, but also noticeably not as overwhelming as a lot of the other Swan songs out there. It's haunting, but also very meditative. And despite the slower approach that the song is going for, it still manages to be as chilling as ever, especially when it comes to years groaning throughout the song. It's really just something else. Number 11. Hey, so I was talking about Selfish being an aggressive song, right? Well, this is on a whole other level. The album that this song comes from is an interesting case because it's probably the most divisive record of the year. Like, I will interpret it as an album that you either love or hate, or maybe even both love and hate, which is actually the case for me. And I might talk about it why in a later video because, well, more than any other 2023 album that I've heard, this is the one that I have the most conflicted opinions on. That said, there are still some songs on here that I do quite love, like Man Proposes, God Disposes. This song to me feels like a Slint song on steroids. It already starts with some intimidating strings and a very dirty riff, already setting up the kind of twisted tone that the song is going to have. But then the song starts to get angrier and feels like it's getting out of control the more it goes on, to the point where the song gets completely invaded by these purely unsettling angular riffs all over the place, like it's crumbling on itself. The vocals are resentful, the lyrics are just overwhelming, the whole track just becomes nothing but frantic noise. And the two drops here are just absolutely insane, even downright terrifying. It is very much the definition of an overwhelming song to me. It even teases you at the very end where you think it's going to end, but well, it doesn't. This song is just pure insanity. Number 10. So, as good of a song as Swing in a Dream was, the truth is that's actually not my favorite song from Mo Monolith. This one is. If Swing was top tier Squid when it came to melodies and textures, then Underground is top tier Squid when it comes to the rhythm and energy. The song has one of my favorite grooves that the band has ever done. It's just such a funky but also mesmerizing groove that I can never really get tired of listening. But I also love a lot of the unconventional scenes and a lot of the krautrock influences that feel like they fit right on the track. And that chorus is just wonderfully frantic, I love it. Underground is just an energetic marvel of a song. Number 9. So last year, Black Country New Road made a big splash on the indie music scene with their album Ants From Up There, an album that was so acclaimed that by 2023 we're already starting to hear influences around the world. Yeah, I guess this makes it the first time that I'll be talking about a Spanish song, and hey, I mean, I speak Spanish, so I think I'll be able to talk about it properly. This song is what I will describe as enchanting. It takes a lot of tropes from chamber pop as a genre, and it uses them in a way that makes the song feel fully grand and full. The instrumentation is bursting with emotion, and the lyrics are able to give the song a sense of melancholic hope. talking about growing up and how hard life can hit you, but taking in the optimistic route. And there's also the second half, which is entirely instrumental and is essentially the climax of the song. It's quite beautiful. So if you're looking for great music from Latin American territories, you should definitely check this song out. And well, the album as well. Number 8. So if you've seen my King Gizzard ranking video, you're pretty much aware that I happen to really like their new album from this year. Wait, which one? The one that they released on the summer. I actually haven't checked out the Silver Core yet. I'll check it out soon, don't worry. But yeah, Petrodragonic was a damn great album. Not only does it have the ferocious energy from Infest the Rat's Nest, but it also feels like the band further expanded it by incorporating elements from prog metal and yeah, just generally more adventurous songwriting. I could pick any song from the album really, but I'll be going with the closing track, Flamethrower. And that's mainly for the second half. Don't get me wrong, the first half is great. The guitars are brutal and accelerating, and the song never really feels like it's losing its momentum at any point. But the second half is really why this song is on the list. It's when the song suddenly switches into a straight up electronic, desert-like jam that is just amazing all the way through. The drums give the song a lot of tension, and the synths are just gorgeously mystifying. And for an album closer, it really couldn't have gotten a better way to finish off. It's just amazing. Number 7. Yeah, that's right, there is indeed another Olivia Rodrigo song that I want to talk about in this list.
Hate to give the satisfaction asking how you're doing now.
Vampire is the lead single from her second album, Gods, a piano ballad that, just like Driver's License, talks about a breakup. Not in the same way as in Bad Idea Right, mind you, she's doing it more in the traditional way, where she talks about the emotional pain that her ex caused on her. It was the biggest hit from the album, and it charted at number 1 on the charts, to which I think it's very much deserved, because this is honestly my favorite song from the record. I love the theatrical approach the song goes for, I love how grand the song is and how much it perfectly builds with every part. I love how it's so gorgeously produced with how dreamy it sounds. And Olivia Rodrigo just gives her all in here. You can just feel every bit of her emotional vocal range.
That makes you a real big mistake, but you make the worst one look fine.
I honestly even like the lyrics, which yeah, sure, they can be a little silly.
Fame fucker.
But I don't know, they feel very authentic as well, like they don't feel hacky at all. Again, a part of that may be because her performance on the song is just so good. I believe that you can have less than stellar lyrics if you're able to make up for it by the emotions you can pull through them. And Olivia Rodrigo does more than that in the song. Number 6. Jives Tumor. Did I pronounce that right? It's actually another artist where I don't really know a lot of his background, but I can tell you this, he has the best album opener that I've heard this year. And not just my favorite album opener of the year, but also probably my favorite production of any song on this list, even more so than the top 5. There's just so much to admire from it. It's very layered and dynamic, it combines a lot of genres at once. It feels like if you took industrial, post-punk and dance and put them in a blender. The mixing is perfect, every part hits perfectly. It's just a very inventive track all around that just comes around really well. I don't really have much to say about it, but it's amazing. Number 5. So I've already talked about this song in my review of the album, but I honestly feel like I didn't really talk about it enough. Animal Collective have been at the very least to me on a renaissance period throughout this decade. After a disappointing decade of subpar releases, it felt like they finally knew how to make enriching music again, even if it's still not quite as good as the albums that they released during the 2000s, well, except for maybe this song in particular. I remember really liking this song the first time that I've heard it, but goddamn, the more I listen to it, the more I just love it. Magicians from Baltimore is just such a mystifying song in every way, not just for Animal Collective but in general. I don't think think I ever heard a song like it before. It starts in a promising note with some splashes of sound that set the mood of what you're about to encounter on the track, and the rest of the song is devoted into creating this really hazy and cryptic soundscapes that just suddenly transport me to somewhere else. In a way, it kinda feels like getting lost in a magical forest. It's insane. The ending of the song is also just especially gorgeous. Number 4. If you were to tell me that Foo Fighters of all bands will make my list of the best 2023 songs about a year ago, I wouldn't have believed you. Now, that's not to say that I hate Foo Fighters in general. I think the band has made plenty of good, even great songs before. Hell, when it comes to albums, the self-titled, Color and the Shape, and Wasting Light I think are worth listening to. I think what I'm more so referring to is that I think the band has been on a slump of mediocrity for a long time now. Wasting Light was an exception, sure, but aside from that, I mean, they've been pretty much just a singles band. Hell, even if you go back to 2021, they've been pretty much at their lowest point yet with Medicine to Midnight, an album that is just completely devoid of anything good, and a further sign of a band that was just way past their prime. But then they decided to surprise me this year. But here we are is an album that is deemed mainly on the loss of close ones, talking about the loss of Dave Grohl's mother and the loss of the band's drummer Taylor Hawkins. I don't think the album is necessarily good front to back. There are some songs that I don't think are bad but still kind of feel like album filler to me. But when the album hits, it really does hit. Like, the best songs from the album are among some of the best songs that Dave Grohl has ever written, like The Teacher. A 10-minute progressive rock emotional roller coaster of a song that I would have never expected the band to do, to be honest. It has not only sprawling songwriting, but also a very intense performance from Dave Grohl, especially towards the end. Yeah, the end of the song is just insane. And I love how the song just completely gets invaded by this harsh distortion. Like, it feels like the song gets completely corrupted and then it just ends. It's such a good climax. Oh, and the closing track Rest that comes right after this is also amazing, although it does work better in the context of the album, which is why I didn't include it. Number 3. Wow, I did not remember this song being this good. As I previously mentioned, Dream Pop has been a genre that has been growing on me a lot this year, and Yo La Tengo is definitely not an exception to this. Yo La Tengo is not just a Dream Pop act, you can pretty much label them as indie rock as well, but they have at the very least 3 albums that majorly covered that Dream Pop soundscape, including the album that they made this year, which I thought it was great despite the fact that it's not necessarily my favorite Yo La Tengo album, but it's kind of in the same boat as Swans, where you feel like they still understand what made them good and engaging in the first place. But this song is on a whole other level. It's a slow and haunting ambient track that is very dense and spacey in its atmosphere. The drums feel ethereal, and the vocals are as equally as evocative as the rest of the song. In fact, I don't know if that description alone will describe it. This song really does send me goosebumps in a way that I haven't really seen many other songs do it quite like, even from the band themselves. In a way, it kind of feels like a song where you're floating in space very slowly while watching the little remains around. It really is incredibly gorgeous. Number 2. I really don't know why it has gotten me this long to get into George Clinton. So I have kind of a big soft spot when it comes to genres. I tend to dive more into lush and hypnotic sounds. Neo-psychedelia, shoegaze, chillwave, trip-hop, and yes, I have mentioned before dream pop as well. Those genres in a way are, well, I guess my weakness, mainly because they're just so easy to get immersed by. And when you combine them all together into one thing, man, do you get something special. And that's exactly what this song is. It's not just a culmination of some of the most serene soundscapes out there, but it feels like a very satisfying nostalgia blast as well, like a throwback to several of the styles of the 90s. I mean, yeah, it's no secret that nostalgic throwbacks to past things have really gotten tiring and even desperate as of late, but that doesn't mean that it can no longer be done right anymore, and this song really does feel like less cashing in on past trends and more of a genuine love letter to the 90s. It's just a straight up perfect ethereal rush. Number 1. So my number one pick for this year is also probably going to be my biggest surprise of the list. I mean, this year has been of several surprises, at the very least that's kind of how I perceived it. Skrillex dropped a good album, Lil Yachty dropped a good album, Paramore, a band that I personally was never really a big fan of, also dropped an album that I really like as well. Foo Fighters dropped a pretty good album. Yeah, honestly, I don't think I'm done talking about Foo Fighters. Yeah, that's right, the band that made one of my least favorite albums of 2021 also made my song of the year. God damn do I love this song. It was my favorite song of 2023 around the time the album dropped, and still nothing has really topped it for me. Just like a lot of songs from the album, Show Me How covers the struggles of learning to move on from the death of your closest ones. And out of all of them, this song was the one that personally connected to me the most. This song is just beautiful. I love how ethereal and shoegazy the instrumentation is, and the kind of bittersweet emotion that is radiating. I love how bright the guitars sound, and vocals wise the song is just wonderful. It's Dave Grohl singing with his daughter Violet, and together they just managed to provide such an endearing and dreamy like performance that just fills me with warmth. As far as Foo Fighters songs go, Everlong is still for sure their best, and I'm never expecting them to top it, considering that's pretty much a high bar. But I will say that this is honestly my second favorite song from them. It's just such a wonderful song all around.